Good evening. Welcome to the Netivot Shalom Shir. We're just a few days from Pesach, a few days from Bedikas Chametz, searching for the Chametz, trying to remove the Chametz, trying to get our houses ready. And there's a very important concept that we have to think of. And we're going to explore that through the Netivot Shalom as to what we're really looking for. What is the Chametz we're trying to find? We know that it's not dust on the windows. That's not Chametz. So what are we looking for? Is it just breadcrumbs, or does it have a more symbolic meaning? And this year, we're going to talk about that, both from the Netivot Shalom, which we're going to do first. And then after that, I've attached some Divrei Torah from Rabbi Elimelech Biederman that really dives into the depth of something very important about getting your house ready for Pesach. So let's start with the Netivot Shalom. This is in the book, the Netivot Shalom book, the book on the Chagim, book Beit, and it's Reish Lamed Aleph, 231 is the page number. And it's in the middle of it's not in the middle, but there have been a number of series of talking about how you have to search in the very cracks and corners everywhere in your house. There's another way of looking at this. The aspect of searching in the cracks and the small places in the walls and so on. The Kol Machshavos for Horim Roim has to do with thoughts, thoughts and thinking of things that are bad. Shem Kamar Chazal, Kashim Avera, thinking about doing a sin, according to our sages, is worse than doing the sin. Why? Shetzorech yagia miuchedet lakirat hirhore avera, because you have to be able to remove these thoughts of an avera. Kamamar Mor Admar Beves Avram, he says, Parshat Sav as Saharon, and this parsha that we just read, Perish Rashi, Ein Sav Ella Lashon Zrizus. Sav means doing things quickly, hurrying it up. Amar Shimon Biyotir Tzorech HaKosev Lazaris B'Mokum Sheish Chasoron Kis. Rabbi Shimon says it takes more intensity to move forward, to do things where there's a possibility of losing money. Veirash, what does that mean? Shizekai Amak Shavos. That's talking about thoughts. Sheish Bem Chasoron Shem Bechusim V'Elmim Me'ain Kol. There is a loss because they're hidden, and they're completely covered from everybody, including yourself. Shima Veirat B'Poel. If you do an actual sin, Pamim Shenimna Adam Malasoso Machmas Asovim Oto. There are many times that you're thinking about doing a sin, but you won't do it because there's people around you. You don't want to be embarrassed. You forget that the one that you have to be embarrassed about is the one above, not the one next to you. So we can also learn from bad thoughts that we can pray with the same bad thoughts. They don't leave us. To dwell together with brothers. When you're in company with somebody else, nobody knows what you're thinking. They know what you're saying, they know your expressions, but nobody knows what's deep in your heart. Okay, therefore, therefore the Torah comes to tell us to be zealous in a place where you might lose money. And this is the aspect what it's saying. Look in the smallest possible places, the places where it's highly unlikely to be chometz. this hints at the thoughts that are covered. They're covered, they're hidden from yourself, that you don't realize the chametz that you have. Zohar Kodesh, Zohar says, Isha b'chomer inyan machshava. There's a materiality to the thing of thoughts. Es pashtu orche v'shavilin lasta orche b'hai almad b'almad dasi. Basically, uh, it's hard to really understand them, to really understand uh, what you could do with them in this world. Mahi machshava, and from this thought, isnagi v'nafik zahuma, you change your identity. The Yetzer Hora lavushali l'kala, because Yetzer Hora, the negative force in this world, wants to embarrass you and destroy you. Mahi machshava eshtachu averu chatat zdonos, and through these thoughts, you can come to do the greatest sins, which are avodah zarah, idol worship, gilui arayos, immorality, and shvichas damim, killing somebody else. Uvegin kach, reisha dekala kasiv im ola karbano. So because of this, it says, if you bring your korban, your sacrifice up, adkan, hainu lefisha ola ba al alev, because the korban ola, according to some, the entire burnt offering, according to some poskim, is to atone for thoughts of the heart. And you remember from last week, we talked a little bit different about the korban ola. Korban ola was one brought by tzaddikim, by righteous people. Therefore, it was brought, the korban chatas, the sin offering, was brought at the same place. But there's also a school of thought that says it's to gain you forgiveness for bad thoughts. Umachshavos, hey Morosh v'shorish kol yanim haroim. Thoughts are the headquarters, the beginning, the root of all bad things that happen. Moshe Maran Admor Beisavram, whose lands, he says, Alvanaso shel Cain. He talked about the sin of Cain. Cain, of course, who killed his brother Hevel. Cain killed Abel. But what was this all about? Shireshis, Apagam Shelo Haya B'Machshava. His first defect was in his thought. Modekasu, as it says in Bereshis, Ayisha Hashem El Hevel, Vel Machnaso, Vel Minchaso, Vel Cain Vel Minchaso Losha, that God turned to the offering of Hevel, but did not turn to the offering of Cain, did not turn to Cain's offering. Shehitchil Mikina. So Cain seeing that began jealousy. She davar kal lechura. It's a simple thing. Yagil mizeh. And what came out of this? Ad kidei laharog es achiv. The jealousy didn't stop there. It wasn't just the thought that he had, a thought of jealousy, but it led to killing his brother. Similarly, with preparation for Pesach, you're connecting to be a Jew, and to do that, bodkin b'chorin b'sadkin, you look for all the unlikely places, as calling them all the things that are hidden and fled from you. You try to find out what they are so you can correct them. Another thing we can say about this is that when it's talking about searching, searching in these little places, you're really talking about things having to do with your heart. Hakol kol inyane midos u'mitzvos hatluei b'lev. Things that have to do with all of the qualities and the commandments that are connected to the heart. Shema Yesod Kol Mitzvah. That's the foundation of every mitzvah. You know, all Hashem wants from us is our heart. He wants us to serve Him with our heart. So that's the foundation of a mitzvah. You're doing a mitzvah, you're serving God with your heart. Kol Kamo B'tzuvos Emunas Hashem, just like the mitzvos of faith in God, Ba'ahavas Hashem, love in God, Yirah Hashem, fear of God, Va'vekus Hashem, cleaving to God, Yahavas Yisrael, loving Yisrael. These are all qualities that are needed, but they're not material things that you can see. These are thoughts that you have. Okay, Basur Meirah. Similarly, when David Melech in Tillim says, Sur Meirah Vasei Tov, turn away from evil and do good. But Sinu B'Chazal, we find in Pirkei Avos that there are certain things that drive a person from this world. And what are they? Pirkei Avos illustrates them. Akina, the jealousy, Vahatava, desire, Vakavod, and honor, Motzinas Adam Olam, they drive a person from the world. Seeking those things, running after those things to the exclusion of everything else, drives you from the world, drives you from the world of being a Jew. Below Omar Kazot, Bishar Mitzvos Lo Sasa. And it's interesting that Pirkei Avos didn't pick any other commandments to say that about. He only picked this specific commandment. Only these specific things of kina, tava, and kavod, the things that drive you from the world, not the rest of the things. Because these things, jealousy, desire, these are things of the heart. Sometimes you don't even realize that you're jealous, that you're just having this great desire for something. These remove a person from the world. And this is very important. And I mentioned at the very beginning, we're talking about a very important aspect of B'dikas Chametz, and this ties into that, as to what kind of Chametz we're looking for. Is it dust on the window? Is it crumbs that you can't see? What is it? What are you looking for? On a spiritual level, what are you looking for? And so too the sages say, call her koes. Anybody who is angry, ilu oved avodah zarah, is like somebody who serves idols, like an idol worshiper. Anger is like being an idol worshiper. Chovas halvavos, the love of the heart, v'chamurim, yoter b'mitzvot ma'asiyot, the love of the heart, not being angry at somebody else. That's the greatest, greater than all the mitzvos. Zehu inyan bodkin b'chorim b'sadkim. That's the aspect of searching in all these little places. Sha'afim kavar badak, even if you have already searched as hoanyanim hayaduim, these things that we talked about, adayin mutal alav, if you search the exterior, it's still required for you to leave dok v'chovas halvavos anisrim, to search the hidden places of your heart. Matam b'chol zeh. The reason for all this, shetzorich laharchi kol kach esal chametz. It's necessary to make yourself far from any chametz. I'll call it chomros shematzinu b'zeh, and the materiality that you find in these, the materiality that you find in doing the averos of tava, desire, kina, jealousy, kavod, seeking kavod, all these things. That's the chametz. That's the materiality of the chametz. Ki sees Mitzrayim in Yanu. When we left Egypt, Yatziu Yisrael mitachas yidei kochos haklipa. We left Egypt under this negative shell, power of the shell, the power of the Egyptians. Ad kan yesh alkein yesh b'chag hakadosh hazeh, with this holy Chag of Pesach. I said Yanu badikas chametz v'yara v'tala. We have the aspect of searching for chametz, destroying it, and nullifying it. Those are the three steps that you have to take. She is tachrer b'kol yanim shehu meshubad lahem. You free yourself of all the things that you're enslaved to. Meshuka b'hem, and you're attached to them. She b'einav kadover she'ein bo tzorech. You separate yourself to the point that it'll look to you as if this is nothing that's important anymore. Moshe Mefarish Rambam, as the Rambam says, es mitzvos hashbasa amiyuchedes b'chametz. The mitzvah of removing the chametz is unique with chametz. V'zel lashono umahi hashbasa zu omer b'Torah. What is the getting rid of the chametz that the Torah talks about? Shivatel chametz, believe that in your heart you nullify it. Yashvoto kafar, you think of yourself as dust. Shekol chametz shibaroshuso, all the chametz that is in your possession, arihu kadovish ein bo tzorech klal. It's like something that ein bo tzorech klal has no. The chametz that's inside of you, these thoughts that you have, jealousy, of non-love, of anger, those things have no purpose. This holiday of Pesach is the time of our freedom. Means freedom from the Yetzer Hora, from the evil inclination, and from the desires that are improper. And from Hashem, the Jew will be helped. The Yachleitz Megalus Mitzrayim, to pull himself out of the exile of Egypt. Memtet Sharituma, and from the 49 levels of defilement. Shumashuka Bohem Mitzrayim, that the Jews were infected with them when they were leaving Mitzrayim. And that is the purpose on Pesach. Shuzman Geula HaNefesh, Geulas HaNefesh, and Geulas HaNeshama. It is a time for the redemption of the body and the soul. Zmano Sugo Yehudi, a very propitious time for a Jew. Liot Kabriya Chadashu, to be like a new person, a new creation. Lisnaher Yamashu Chametz, and to wake up and remove himself from the little bit of chametz. Shemachmasahu Meshuka b'memtet Sharituma, because of that chametz, you're connected to the 49 levels of Tuma. Now that's the Netivot Shalom. Now I want to go. I've attached here, and it's a little bit small, so I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. A couple of just put the right screen. A couple of things from Rabbi Elimelech Biederman, talking about getting the house ready for Pesach, B'dikar Chametz. And it starts over here. I'm going to be above the line, just so you know how I'm doing this. he has two lines above the line, and below the line, there's different stories. I'm not going into that, even though they're printed on here. I'm not gonna go into that. So Ivdu b'simcha, you should serve with joy. Lisrafsech min hakas v'aroges. Stay far away from anger and from rage. Klal gadol, a basic principle, Isa Zohar Kodesh, is said in the Holy Zohar. Shekol davar, shu misitra de kedusha. Everything that it seems like is the opposite of holiness. Anger is the opposite of holiness. So tzorich le'asot benachas u'besimcha. When you're doing work that might get you angry, you have to instead do it with tranquility and joy. Nasu barogas, if you're doing something, and this is talking about cleaning the house on Pesach, for example. You're cleaning the house and you're angry because you got to do all this work. Harizam sitra achra beisha. It's the sitra achra trying to embarrass you. Sitra. Sorry. Okay, but Rabbi Kodesh V'Berdishev is Kuskleini. Mafli Ma'od B'Shev Chodesh HaYisrael. We know he was a great defender of Bnei Yisrael. Hamalim Leber V'Lagarish Kol Zecher Shel Mashu Chametz. He praised the Jews for being so careful in getting rid of even the most minute part of chametz. Uvdishaso himlitz, and he advised Shipolos Elu, Shovas Latikiyas HaShofar, Ola Kishvorim Turah Tekiya. He said that cleaning your house for Pesach, getting rid of the chametz, is on the equivalent level of kedusha of blowing the shofar. Kiba Erev Pesach, Erev Pesach, Rosh Tables Shulahem, and the first letters is Kratzin Sharin Ribin Kara. Inyan Nikiyum. They're also in Yiddish. It means they're things of cleaning, to clean the house from every crumb of chametz. Malachim ha'oli mehem heim kushrak leitzim tov Yisrael. The angels that are supervising will say good things about you and Klal Yisrael if you're doing it not out of anger. Okay, now I'm gonna skip to this next section over here. Ivdu b'simcha, to serve God with joy. Lisrachik min hakas v'rogis, to stay far away from anger and rage. Klal gadol. Oh, this is I see what happened. The page, there's a different page in there. Hold on. They're wrong. They're the same pages. Sorry. I'm sorry. I've got to look at the. Let me put something else on the screen. Just a minute. Apologize for that. It wasn't copied. It wasn't copied correctly. I don't know what happened. None of this copied right. Give me a moment. I'll find the original one. Just going to read it from the sheet because it didn't. What this was continuing was it said Al Kain Sorich Lashkiach Lizar Ma'od Shekol Avodas HaKodesh Shel Nekohen, all the holy work of cleaning your house from Chametz, you should do it with simcha and love, and not, God forbid, out of anger and being upset. It says Raksh Yesh V'Yismach is Chus Gadol Azu. You should be happy because of this great mitzvah. Shenaflo B'Chalko, that fell in your part as a Jew. Asos Nachas Ruach Levorei, to give pleasure to God, L'kai Mitzvoso, and to fulfill His mitzvah. Kvar Kosov Rokeach, and the Rokeach writes, he says, Lo Yomer Kama Torech Pesach. Don't say it is so hard preparing for Pesach. Don't complain about it. Don't say it's so hard for preparing for Pesach, because you have to do it with simcha. And he goes on to say about kas, about anger. V'derech remez, Omer Rabbi Kodesh, Rabbi Asher Mishtolen. He says on the pasuk, it says in Shemos, Elohei Masecha lo sasalach. Don't make gods, false gods for you, masks for you. And the very next sentence, as Chag Hamatzos Tishmor, you shall keep the festival of the matzos of Pesach. It's the reason for this is Shiboim Lidei Kaas. If somebody comes into anger, Beis Hachanas L'Chag Pesach, when they're preparing for Pesach, L'chein B'Chag Atzmo, and more so even on the Chag of Pesach itself. Our Omer Chazal, our sages tell us, Kol HaKoes Ki'ilu Oved Avodah Zorah. Anybody who gets angry is like somebody who's worshiping idols. L'chein, therefore, he's Hira Torah, Sheb Yamim Elu, the Torah warned us in these days, Yadzhar Biyoter, Shelo Lasot Elohei Masechot, Seakas, don't make these false gods of idol worship. Ela b'nechusa rogea mitoch simcha shel mitzvah yinaket habayit yikol mashu chametz. With relaxation and joy, you should enjoy this mitzvah of cleaning the house of every bit of chametz. And he goes on as follows: "Says Behine Kasiv." It says in Parsha Shemot, on referring to the day after tomorrow, which is the 10th of Nisan. It says, "But Pesach, we're going out of Egypt." It says, "Mishchu v'kchu lachem tzon." Take for yourself, grab and take for yourself a sheep. That was on the 10th of Nisan. They had to have it there for the next 4 days before they could sacrifice it. The Dorshu Chazal, our sages explain, Mishchu Yadechem Avodah Zorah means pull yourself away, pull your hands away from Avodah Zorah. Mishchu, stay away from Avodah Zorah. V'gam l'doros olam, and also for future generations. Yomer Kazos. It says this. Mishubo Yadechem Mikas. Mashchu Yadechem Mikas. Shi Avodah Zorah. Keep your hands away from anger, which is idol worship. Kamosha Omar, as it says, Kol HaKoes Oved Zorah, as it said a minute ago, whoever is angry like serving idols. V'hainu Havana Harishana Kodem Chag Pesach, the most important thing before Pesach, Lifrosh Me'avodah Zorah, to separate yourself away from idol worship. The Avodah Zorah Hainu Min Hakas V'Harogo. Avodah Zorah it comes in the form of anger and can kill you. And I'm going to close with this next little sentence. Davar Nora Kasim Harav Kodesh from Tzvi Melech Vidino. He says, Efsher Midrabanan, Yesh Lahachmir B'Achilas HaPesach. He says, maybe according to the Rabbanan, we should be strict and with regard to eating on Pesach, Shelo Lachilo, to not feed the Korban Pesach, Lemish Omra, Shemish Omra, somebody says who speaks in anger. He's like somebody who worships Avodah Zorah, idol worship. To go Kol HaKos Avodah Zorah. Yoter, call him a shaver kli, b'chemto, b'chamaso, rather. If somebody breaks a vessel in his anger, he gets so angry, you break a vessel. Yibeinecha, it should look like it should be in your eyes as a person like a person who serves idol. And therefore, he says she'ein lanu korban Pesach. That person cannot take part in the korban Pesach. We call malkum ma'od. We have to very much yesh lanu yisrachet, to stay far away. Chametz kasp yomim elu, from even this slightest glint of anger. Shari mechara yivna shari meheru yivna beis hamikdash, because we can build the beis hamikdash quickly if we don't have anger. V'chiyesh beinenu imi harotza shelo lizchut lehimanot im bnei hachabura al korban Pesach. And if somebody doesn't want to be connected with the unity of the people, the group that has to eat the Korban Pesach together, even today we don't have the Korban Pesach, but the Efshar Afikomen at the end of the Seder represents the Korban Pesach. So maybe we should say Asur. It is forbidden la'achilo, to give it to a person who is angry. Shayubah Zeichel Korban Pesach, because the Afikomen comes as a remembrance of the Korban Pesach. And if somebody has anger, if somebody's serving Avodah Zorah, he's not allowed to bring the Korban Pesach. Anyway, the key, I'm sorry about the way the page is printed out, but the key point to get out for it is when we're looking for chametz, you have to recognize that the greatest chametz we have is not the breadcrumbs we're finding, but it's the bad things that's within us, especially the anger. And that's what we have to get rid of. Erev Pesach, when it's so tempting, because things are frustrating. I'm looking for this, I can't find this. Why don't you have this? Why isn't this? Why didn't you do? It's so frustrating. So it's the time that we, much more so than Erev Shabbos when you're running late. Getting ready for Pesach becomes a frustrating experience and can easily lead to anger. So you have to control yourself not to fall into that trap, to remove that chametz from yourself. And I thank you for listening, and I wish everybody Chag Kosher V'Sameach, and let's have the real gula this time, the gula shalema. Hashem get us out of the difficulties we're in, and only we can cause that to happen by our actions. Chag Sameach. Oh, turning off the recording.
Very nice.